Oh, your own bug snacks. Nice. Oh, your own bug snacks. Oh, the Before trilogy. We're talking about the Before trilogy. Let's go. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I am all set.
Welcome everyone to the Good, the Bad, and the Weird Spotlight. This is our second time around having a special guest host, Laughenstein. We are talking about 1996's Pinocchio's Revenge. Welcome, Laugh. If you want to introduce yourself for those who don't know,
How's it going, everybody? My name is Laughenstein.
let us just let us know if you can't hear either of us. I know I had that issue last time on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let me.
I can check real quick.
Okay,
Oh, I can hear you. Oh yeah, and I can hear me. Perfect.
cool. I'll cut that little bit out too. So. All right. For those who don't know or unfamiliar with this oh so well known tale, Pinocchio's Revenge follows a mother who begins experiencing weird happenings after bringing home a Pinocchio doll from a murder case into her house. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but I mean, it's close enough.
I mean, sort of. I mean, that's what happens in like the last 25 minutes of the movie. Duh.
Exactly. I'm glad you caught on to that too. I wrote down exactly when stuff happens on this movie because oh boy, is it something else?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's one of the worst things that like this movie doesn't really do anything well, but should we go through the cadence of the movie first since I'm sure nobody like watched it?
First, I think I want to go through just like kind of basic director, writer, crew, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Um, so this one is written and directed by Kevin Tenney. It stars Rosalind Allen and Brittany Elise Smith. And so I did a little bit of looking up on these before, and I don't know anything or Tenney's done. Nothing notable. Uh, but
I looked at his filmography, and this was his seventh film.
here's the thing:
Uh,
I do know his works
oh
from
really?
the movie covers alone. I only remember them from like bad DVD store kind of thing. So like
Okay.
growing up in like just backwoods of places, just random DVDs and whatnot. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I did not. I went through everything. I did not see anything that I had recognized.
Yeah, same with the two main actresses. Um, but Smith was in the Goofy movie, weirdly enough, but only like as like a small semi-credited role.
Okay.
Uh, Now there is one person you will recognize 100% in this cast.
Yep. I
Vern
already know who it is.
Troyer. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, Mini Me is in the movie, but like he only has like one small part where you see the Pinocchio doll running.
Right.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those one of those movies where like you'll either know someone from like some random role they've been in, or you know them from nothing else, and that's this entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, oh man, this movie.
It
Where do
was
we?
it was unreal.
Yeah, I don't even know where to.
Well, it starts out with a lawyer and also a mother who is trying to prove that her defendant,
Mm-hmm.
Gatto. Well, no, sorry. Even before that, it starts with a police officer who we never see after the scene driving and stumbles upon a man burying a doll,
Mm-hmm.
Pinocchio, and then they uncover the body and they come to find out that, or they uncover the doll and then they come to find out that Gatto has actually been a serial killer, and the main character of the movie is the mother of the daughter who eventually gets Pinocchio, and also a lawyer that is representing Gatto, and she is trying to prove that he is not in fact a serial killer, but he has only killed one person.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's what she's trying to prove the entire time. Her client is telling her, "No, I did everything. Everything they're talking about is true." Um,
Yeah,
and also, like, when we were watching this, I still can't get over the fact that like she's looking over these case files and she's aghast by what's done, and it's like you presented these in court and now you're looking at them like you're seeing them for the first time.
right. So you're either incompetent or because you're a lawyer, you're supposed to be representing this person, and and you also said earlier that what had happened. One of the things that you tried to use to represent in court was that the patterns of the murders were not consistent. That
Mm-hmm.
and that was what she wanted to use as evidence. And but then she looks at the when she's going over the evidence, the photographs of the corpses, she's shocked. So what is it? Did she know or did she not know? Like what?
Well, and what makes it even dumber in that moment is like way later on in the movie, she's talking about like how she's seen so many bad things. She's put so many bad people on the streets who are clearly guilty, but it's her job to get them free. And like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just this movie from the very beginning feels like Goosebumps meets a TV drama.
Yeah,
Or made for a
and
TV movie. That's probably the better word.
right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and nothing about it makes sense. I was really surprised well, I was really surprised to see that this was somebody's seventh movie, and so yeah, when she's going over the evidence, she's also surprised that her daughter walks into the room,
Mm-hmm.
uh, her door which she had wide open, and then she's also taking that home with her, and she's not doing the work at her office, which
Yeah.
is interesting, and because also as representing somebody who has murdered so many children, like Gatto was supposedly had murdered so many children,
Mm-hmm.
this would be Casey Anthony murdered one child,
Oh
so,
God.
right?
Yeah.
And that we talked about that for years.
We still talk
Um,
about it, dude. I was God. I
we still
watched.
talk about it.
It got brought up again because over the Thanksgiving holiday, I had my dad watch Thanksgiving, and they brought
Hmm.
up the Casey Anthony case in 2008. Like, it's like, and I mean, it still gets brought up. I mean, I think
Right.
I think I well, I think it just depends on the context of who you know and stuff too. Because my buddy Kark had he was over for part of the holiday. He had no clue who the Casey Anthony case. But to be fair, he's not in the realm of true crime, so he doesn't know
Okay.
that stuff. But yeah, it, if he was such a mass child murderer, actually, where is this movie even set? I know it seems like it's a semi big city, but it's not like the Big Apple or anything.
Right. This looked kind of West Coast. I think it didn't seem like East Coast.
Okay. Yeah, it's not it. Yeah, it's just one of those ones where it's it's one of it's one of the coasts. It's not a Midwest case. But
Right.
then again, I mean, if you're looking at true crime, most of the big cases have been Midwest killers for the most part who moved out to the coasts to get away from stuff. I think the only one I can really think of off the top of my head are the Golden State Killer and Ramirez. So, but most of them, like the big ones, Ted Bundy, Ed Kemper, BTK, all Midwest people.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
No, it's just small little things, but yeah, even if it was like that, still would be big news. I mean, the movie's set in. I assume it's set in the year it's released in. So I'm assuming it's probably big news at that point.
Right, especially in 1996, this would almost
Hmm.
be unprecedented. We're like, yeah, this would be unreal. But like I said, I don't think this movie does anything well. Except there's one thing that I really liked, but the then aside from being, I think we don't know how she is as a lawyer. Uh, from her performance in the movie, maybe there's some stuff in dialogue, but she's also like an extremely incompetent mother,
Yes.
and like so her child is supposedly we find so her child is supposedly very smart. We find that from one dialogue where the teacher sets this up, saying that the main character's daughter, what's her name?
I don't.
Jennifer is the lawyer.
um, Let
Um,
me. I said their
and
actual actresses' names. Zoe.
okay, so her daughter Zoe has a bully in class, and they are pitted against one another. Uh, the teacher also says after Zoe successfully answers a question, like, okay, well, the two brightest students in class seem to say that this is okay, so I guess it's okay, which is terrible for a teacher to say that because she's just calling everybody else stupid, or at
Yeah.
least not nearly as good. Which I've never heard a teacher do that, but this seemed to be like some private rich prep school, so maybe this is something that is common
Well,
there.
remember this is also like 90. I haven't had anyone that I know that's had kids in school, but I remember specifically like in the 90s and 2000s there was the talented and gifted program, which was all about like it was very much one of those things of like, hey, here's the smarter kids to go with.
Yeah, but normally they're in their own classes, not like
Uh
in their at least through all my school experience, the students had been in their own classes, and then there's a talented and gifted program where you put all the smart kids.
yeah, but you know who the kids are who are in the tag classes as well. I mean, depending on your school size. I mean, my school was when I
But they're
was
in
in it
separate
was
classes. They're not in the same classroom, and you're saying that these two kids are smart and everybody else is not as intelligent.
yeah, true. Fun fact: I got kicked out, or I got kicked out of the tag program. It was fun,
Well, what is the tag program?
talented and
I
gifted.
assume. Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's what the Dodd schools called it. I forget. Military schools have all their acronyms and whatnot, so I forget sometimes.
Yeah, that's one of. Yeah, that's a whole thing. I was gonna say, just calling people gifted makes it seem that there's like an innate talent or a gift that somebody has, and then thus it's unachievable, rather
Yeah.
than calling them like the harder workers.
Well, I got kicked out because I was doing a presentation on medieval weapons and wanted to do it in like brown paper bag to make it look rustic, and they wanted everything to be colorful and whatnot, and that wasn't what I was trying to do. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but yeah, no, exactly. I mean, granted, that's the thing about this movie. It's very dated, and it's not even that old. So,
Right.
I mean, it's yeah, no, I completely agree. The mom and that's the thing too. So the mom at one of the points in the movie, she says when she's talking to the priest, which the priest makes no sense being in this movie at all. It could be any random person. It should be her love interest, but it's not. We see him for a good like 3 scenes, and one of them's a sex scene. So we get his point.
Oh,
Uh,
her actual boyfriend was it David?
I think that's what his name was.
We don't even meet David until 35 minutes in. Yeah, his name's David, and he's not introduced until 35 minutes into the movie.
Yep.
And he says like an extremely weird, creepy line.
I can't remember what it was. Everyone's saying stupid shit this entire movie. But
Hmm.
speaking of the stupid shit, that's what I was trying to get back to. Is so the mom says something along the lines of, she took this government job. She left the private sector, took a government job, so that way she could have more time with her daughter. Yet she still doesn't spend hardly any time with her daughter, other than to like see her for a little bit for her birthday and then tuck her into bed a couple times. And that's all we see her do with her daughter the entire movie. Other than that,
Hmm.
she's at school or the mom's at work.
Right. So, like that. Yeah. That was pretty. Like, all right, so hold on, like, so before that, like, I thought it was pretty weird, as well. Like, right after the like demoralizing thing that I felt like the teacher said, like, so Zoe starts handing out things for her child's birthday party,
Mm-hmm.
and then she gets into a fight with the kid, and then bites their ear, and then the child had to go and get stitches, go to the hospital to get stitches, and when we get to the phone call, one of the through lines that seems to be going on with Zoe is that she's upset that her dad left. And when they're on the phone with the dad says, "Oh, she got into another fight at school,
Yes.
so
She can't be
she's
suspended again.
again."
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's a problem, and
Yeah.
that's also like you're also a lawyer. And this would be like legal problems because if you're sending people to the hospital
Mm-hmm.
and then she only grounds her for like a few days.
I thought it was like 2 weeks or something, but even then it was still
It was 2 weeks, but then the nanny comes up to her and says, "But her birthday party's on Friday," and then she's like, "Well, she's grounded until then."
exactly. So it's just like she doesn't follow through with it. She's trying to be a stern mom and be the parental figure because obviously the dad's absent. He gets like the one phone call and then the byline that oh my I don't like my dad's new girlfriend or whatever. And it just like
Right.
does nothing at all for the movie in any context. Like it just like there is like that's the thing is this movie is so much family drama. Like there is like the doll doesn't even move, and here's the thing, we're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie because
Hmm.
yeah, well, yeah, the doll doesn't move until 45 minutes into the movie.
Hmm.
45 minutes about a movie called Pinocchio's Revenge.
Hmm.
Yeah, and even then, the first attempted murder isn't until 47 minutes into the movie. And just a reminder, this movie's only an hour and 36 minutes long.
Right. Yeah, the eyes, I had the eyes move at 42 minutes. The eyes move
Yeah.
on the dial. What I thought was good was they did a lot of fake outs in the movie, like when she reaches back after she's driving home and then she reaches back behind her seat and then she's just like, "Ow," and then you think that the doll bit her, but she's like, "Broke another nail."
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, that's good. I thought that was one thing that the movie did well.
Well, yeah, and I think they did it well to a point, but I also think it's just a product of the mom's absent mindedness because there's before when the doll comes into the office, she's like, "Well, where did this come from?" He's like, "Well, it's from the evidence locker. You ordered it, blah blah blah." And then she looks at it and she's like, "Oh yes, I remember. I ordered this. This was supposed to come in weeks ago." And it's like you don't even remember, like when you're she doesn't even remember when her daughter's birthday is when she's grounding her, and
Mm-hmm.
the birthday's in a couple days.
Right.
So it's like she's just not a good mom in general.
No. No,
No.
she's terrible.
Yeah. Ugh.
And the because like I feel like if somebody's going into this movie, one of the things that you would anticipate is that you know that Pinocchio is alive. If you've seen the cover, if you see the DVD screen, it's Pinocchio screaming, holding a knife. So we're spending this movie, we're waiting for Pinocchio to be alive, and one of the that if we're going to have a movie that's labeled as a psychological slasher, a psychological thriller slasher, is what this movie's called. That
uh,
you need to have Pinocchio zooming and stabbing,
yeah.
like from the start. He needs to be going. And one thing like in the movie that we don't ever see Pinocchio really move. We see his mouth move kind of off screen once, and a lot of the attacks happen like kind of off screen, which this movie only has a body count of two for being a slasher. And if you are going to make a movie about a doll, you need to make sure that you're capable of making a doll murder things. Like you need some mobility or
Yeah.
something, but that's not something that seemed to be in the budget at all.
No, no, exactly. I mean, we really only see the doll move what it's like actually physically move a couple times. We really
Hmm.
only see the doll move what it's
That yeah,
like
yeah,
actually physically
yeah,
move
it's
a couple
only
times.
maybe twice.
Yeah, I'm trying to think on it for a second.
That yeah, yeah.
It's like yeah, we see it move. I'm trying to flip through my notes if I have anything on it. Because yeah, we see it. We only physically like see it move twice. Yeah, that is. You only see it move twice. There's the other times
Running
is
in the
just
hallway.
yeah. Well, yeah, running in the hallway at the end and then running off into the night. Everything else is like either from a first person perspective or you hear the pitter patter of feet and then boom, dolls moved.
Yeah,
Magic.
yeah.
Ugh, man. It just they just don't the movie is it's one of those ones where it's trying to be too smart for what it is, you know? It's trying to not be Chucky, but
Hmm.
at the same time it's not anywhere close to being Chucky. Like there's just nothing there because it's just a movie about a bad mom. It's just all family drama bullshit for the vast majority of the movie, and that's how it ends too. Is family
It's
drama and
legal
mental
drama.
illness, but
Yeah, and which, yeah. So then the after that, after we see the eyes move at like 42 minutes, the first time that we see the doll move, which by the way, it's worth noting that it's a legal case and the doll is evidence, and she keeps it at her house.
yeah.
That's
Well,
is like unprecedented as far as what you can do, because like I think that it would be dismissible in court, and because it would be tampering with evidence, and you would like her case would just be completely invalidated.
it's also a
um
completed case at that point too. So
the at this Okay, well, even still, I don't think you can take home souvenirs from court
no,
cases. Like,
no, no.
I don't, yeah, I don't think, what's that? Cochran went home with a white Ford Bronco
Yeah.
after after the O.J. Simpson trial. The, but okay, so like, say that was afterwards. I thought it was before, but then
Well,
he,
actually, no. You're right. It's kind of an in between because it's like it comes home on the day before the execution, pretty much.
which is crazy. People go on death row for 15, 20 years. This person like guilty on Thursday, executed on Friday, which is wild.
Well,
And that was nice of Jennifer to show up. Like the lawyer, do lawyers typically show up to watch
if they're
the
emotionally invested,
they do? Is that's something
I
that happens?
guess. I mean, it's comforting. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot of the law side. I'm
Yeah,
more medical
it's
side of learning that shit. So,
mhm.
but
Well,
yeah.
yeah, either way, I guess that's nice of her to show up for her client's
So
execution.
technically, there's three deaths this entire movie.
Right.
Technically.
Then yeah, then like so Gatto had Pinocchio. The only murder that he was found guilty of was, or the only murder that Jennifer thinks that he did was killing his child, but then he admitted to killing all of the people.
Well, she doesn't even
And
think that he killed his son. She thinks that it was just kind of like accidental or
an
some shit.
accident or something. Yeah, because she
Yeah.
says like it didn't match up. She tries to defend him legally, fails defending him legally. Then Gatto gets executed. So then like that kind of ends the legal aspect of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
which is about 50 minutes in, and at this point we have like 46 minutes left
Yeah.
of the movie.
Yeah. No, there is. It's all bullshit. Like there's just no point to, and I mean I get the point they were going through with it. It feels like it's a shittier Babadook. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's
Um, yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I could see that.
yeah,
Where it's like dealing
deal
with divorce
yeah, divorce,
versus dealing with the death of a parent.
yeah, divorce, mental illness, and just also just dealing with a broken family. It kind of makes me think of there's a book series that I know of, and I've only read
I
one
don't
of
think
them.
I don't know if that'll make sense contextually yet because we haven't covered what happens at
Oh,
the end, so it wouldn't make sense as to why we're relating it to the Babadook.
okay. Do you want to just
We,
skip to that, or do we?
yeah, we can yeah, we want to go into that. Yeah, we can go to the end. So, do you want to go? You want to go?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
happens after that?
Yeah, so basically, after the court case, people start dying around dying around the daughter or getting hurt around the daughter initially, because one, they can't kill a kid in this movie, um, but also the daughter starts talking to Pinocchio. Pinocchio starts actually talking more. Um, his voice is really bad. It's not the same dude who played the body of it. It's a completely different person, and I know nothing they've been into. Um, but yeah, she just starts talking to it, and then they're trying to trick you into thinking that it's the doll doing it all, and there's just so many stupid parts to this because first off, they trip the bully. The bully gets run over by a bus, lives somehow, which fine, and
Mhm.
then attempts to kill the boyfriend who falls down the stairs, hits his head, actually believable cause of death, but ends up like getting some brain damage, gets stabled in the hospital, and then that's when she sneaks out, and that's the only time we really actually see the puppet move, and not in a good way. It's just kind of very shadowed, so you don't see what they're really doing. But even then, like I'm sitting there and they're like, how is no one in the hospital noticing this tiny child, or what we're supposed to believe, a puppet at this point, running through a hospital, not just not a dead hospital, a busy hospital, because it ducks out of the way a couple times to avoid like 3 or 4 people walking around, and it's just like
Mhm.
it's all over the place. And the very first death, let's see, because yeah, Pinocchio doesn't start talking until 56 minutes into the movie. Also, her dolls that she keeps having around her keep getting destroyed and broken.
Mhm.
Let's see. The first death in this movie happens 1 hour and 9 minutes into the movie, and there are no alarm bells starting to code for him when he's dying.
That and on top of that, we it was about 20 minutes from when we pushed David down the stairs to when they kill him later.
Yeah.
So we spend 20 minutes killing David, who we have grown like no emotional investment in at
Actually,
all during the movie.
it's only 10 minutes before, because the first attempt is about an hour into the movie. Because the first attempted murder of the bully is 56 minutes in, or no, sorry,
Okay. When did she first try to kill David?
sorry, 47 is when she tries to kill the bully, and then David doesn't get pushed down the stairs until an hour into the movie, and then 10 minutes later he's dead.
And then 10 minutes. So we spent 10 minutes killing David, who was introduced at about 40 minutes in,
Mm-hmm.
and or 35 minutes in, and then like he says something super creepy to the mother when like he's like trying to hook up with her, and then she's like, not now, David, like later, and then he's just like, oh, I'm gonna get it later,
Oh,
and it's just like, ooh, whoa, dude,
oh
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
gross.
yeah. No, that's right.
So gross.
It's the doll scene where it's like, yeah, I know which one you're talking about now. It's just kind of like one of those ones. It's like, all right then.
I
Uh,
needed to see this guy get obliterated, not falling down the stairs, and then even an off-screen death with his just like pulling the plug.
yeah, pulling the plug, like it doesn't even show like how he dies. I don't know if he pulled the plug or suffocated him with a pillow or some shit.
Yeah, that's not a slasher. That's like Kevorkian, some, I don't know. That's not a slasher.
No, no, and even then, I don't. We don't even see any of the deaths on screen because the second death happens an hour and 21 minutes into the movie with the killing of the babysitter,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's a hot poker, or not a hot poker, just a fire poker beating her to death, and that's it. And it all happens off screen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, I don't know. It's all over the place, and yeah, and also, I think we need to mention like the weird, sexy moments, and not even like sexy moments, just like there's a one like a little bit too long sex scene, and then you see the babysitter, full frontal nudity out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
in a relatively tame horror film. Like it just it doesn't mesh with the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and it almost looked clinical, not even like sexual.
No,
It didn't. It wasn't. It just wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't done well.
no,
And
not at all.
yeah,
And like I don't know, it's just another one of those like pointless things just to add another bit that we don't need. I mean, hell, she could have walked into her getting dressed or something, and it just and that's also I think it's also just one of those moments like you talked about earlier where it's supposed to like try and trick you into like because the daughter claims that Pinocchio snuck into the room, not her, but Pinocchio did this.
hmm
Yeah, and then after that, the mom gets attacked, and this is where we get like really the only gore or major violence we see in the movie is when the doll stabs through the door with the knife and it cuts her hand, which
right,
impressive cutting through a door even if it's a solid core door and cutting through the entire flat of the hand. It's
right.
skills right there. Um, but and actually, yeah, that takes quite a bit of skill both ways, or that's a really sharp knife because after the doll gets kicked into the
I think it takes the physical strength which a child does not have.
exactly because the doll eventually gets kicked onto a coffee table, and then it's revealed that the daughter was the doll the whole time, or the doll never moved and it was just the daughter, and the mom was feeding into the psychosis, and the movie ends with her at a mental institution, and the mom vehemently still defending her daughter for some reason.
And it seemed wildly unclear if like that like and another reason why this movie didn't work exactly is because they immediately go and they jump cut to being in the hospital because like you would be like, hey, how come the stabbing through the door is done at the height in which Pinocchio would stand and not at
Mm-hmm.
the height at which a child would stand? Because she stabbed him through the door, but it was like 2 feet off the ground versus a child standing, which she would probably be like 5 feet, so it should be like 4 feet off the ground or whatever.
Yeah.
I, yeah, like the only way that it works is with the jump cut, and
Yeah. And I mean, Pinocchio's a big doll, but he's not like that big of a doll too.
mhm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
and and then because you can also believe that she can, like, so she's attacked by Pinocchio. Pinocchio
mm-hmm.
jumps onto her back, and it's basically just her pretending like a doll's attacking her while she's moving around a room. But then she runs into her main living room in a like a giant swanky house, takes the doll and then throws it across the room, and it smashes into the glass table. They fall through, then it cuts, and the and it's her daughter underneath of there.
Yeah.
But if you take that and we're supposed to believe that it's the daughter, then she took a 60-pound child and launched it across the entirety of her living room, and then it fell through the glass table. Because if you look at the shot of where the daughter is, she would not have been able to be she wouldn't be laying in the position in which she's landing had she fallen through the table.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get what they were going for. It makes me think of a series of books I think were written in the late 80s, early 90s called The Hurts of Childhood. And
Hmm.
that whole book series, I only know I've only read one of them, and I only know it because one of them is very off base from the rest of them. All the books are like I think that's where this movie why I relate them to, because this movie just feels so off base from what it's trying to do. But the Hurts of
Hmm.
Childhood series was all of like these very nicely illustrated books on like how to talk to your child about divorce, a new marriage, substance abuse, all that stuff.
Hmm.
And then there's one that is very much a product of the 80s, late 80s and early 90s. It's called Don't Make Me Go Back, Mommy. How to Talk to Your Child About Ritual Satanic Abuse. Out of nowhere, that whole book that's where that book is from. And it's just like
Hmm.
it's just a weird mashing of what they were trying to do, and it just doesn't work. I mean, it just this movie is just so long and boring for what it is. It could have easily been a 30-minute TV show, I would argue. There is so much crap you could have cut out from it.
Absolutely. There's two side characters which like Jennifer goes and she speaks to throughout the movie, and one of them was a priest. And the movie did stop dead a couple of times when she was talking to David, and David talks about Pinocchio, and the babysitter talks about Pinocchio and makes references to the Pinocchio lore, so
Mm-hmm.
that way people in the watching the movie might have an understanding of like what's going on and how anything's related to Pinocchio. But then it also speaks immediately about like biblical references without providing any explanation. So it doesn't make any sense, or it's just like so silly. So it's like you expect people going to see a movie about Pinocchio to not know anything about Pinocchio, but to have a concrete grasp on Christianity.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and uh, there was another part where she Jennifer goes into the church, and she's just like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not even Catholic." And then he's just like, "Oh, don't worry, this isn't a Catholic church. It's Episcopalian."
Think
And then it's
Catholic
just like,
light.
"Yeah, it's Catholic light." It's just like you don't even know what church you're walking into. Uh,
uh,
which I thought was quite funny. And then the psychiatrist, which she takes her daughter to, when it's revealed like in the movie that when the psychiatrist first considers that Jennifer should be committed, she is talking to Pinocchio, and it's the only time that we ever see Pinocchio's lips move. Other than that, it's his lips aren't moving. And then later
did
we
his
find
lips
out
move?
his lips moved in
Okay.
that scene. And then because that's like the first inkling that we're supposed to get an idea
Hmm.
of that that the daughter is crazy and the doll's not actually alive, is because they look at the footage and they're just like, by the way, I like to record all of my patients. And it's just like, I don't think it's legal for you to film children
Without a parent's consent, at least.
without the parents' consent. Yeah, you can't be dropping that on us like that. later. Like I know you're telling the audience, but you're telling the parent here. Yeah, yeah. Enjoy prison, you freaking creep.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin of like even thinking of how to fix this movie. Maybe make Pinocchio actually sentient, but then again, you'd have to go into like the mom going on some type of quest to find out how Pinocchio came to be, how to break the curse, how to do all that stuff. And like the movie already has too much garbage going for it. You basically have to rewrite the entire thing and make a brand new movie.
Yeah, when I think about I took a note here. 66 minutes in, she's like, "You're the blue fairy. You need to cut my strings." And then it's just like, "What are you talking about? You can't introduce this concept of a blue fairy like
If
20, 30 minutes left."
if you're gonna play on the Pinocchio side of the story, go full ham into it. Go full hog. Actually, like try and make. Hell, that actually might have been more interesting if you made it from like Pinocchio's point of view or something.
Yeah. And actually, I wrote down a question that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
What do you think Pinocchio's revenge means, since it's the title of the movie and we just watched it? What was the revenge?
I think it's just something. To be honest, I think it is something catchy, just to get people to rent the movie or buy it.
Yeah.
I think that actually, I think that's why we did it because we were debating between this and Pinocchio 3000, which
Yeah, we should have watched Pinocchio 3000 maybe.
I might end up watching it because weirdly enough, it is actually tied to our mic. It's tangentially tied to the mic review Chris and I have planned for December. Weirdly enough. um, but yeah, we it's I don't know. I think it is marketing. I think the revenge part is maybe the psychosis of the mother or something, and that like I I don't have an answer for it. I think it's just a stupid catchy title, and it was a nice way to make the V look very pointy and
Yeah, that was yeah. That's if you ever need to know, like, there's always like moments in a movie when you are like trying to figure out how it is, and when you can figure out if it's going to be bad, right?
yeah.
And I think once you see that V drop in the opening scene, you're just like, oh, this will be bad.
Oh man, what was that production company? I don't know if they still make bad movies, but for a while I was watching these ones where I think it's called Twisted Productions, where
Twisted
it's
Pictures, that's the Saw
yeah, I
ones.
think it is Saw, the one where it's the
The
railroad
barbed wire
spike.
goes around.
Yeah, the railroad spike comes in and twists it up, and then yeah.
Yeah, Twisted Pictures, freaking edgy. Yeah, suck it.
Oh yeah, that's very much this movie, and like I thought the introduction was interesting enough to get me into it.
Hmm.
And then once it just goes on for like 40, 50 minutes of family drama is just where the movie lost it for me. And in general, then it couldn't even make up in the last like 20 minutes. So, but what about, where do you think, do you have an idea where Pinocchio's revenge title came from at all? Or,
No, my notes were I don't know, ask Nacho. I have no idea what they were thinking about anything in this movie.
uh, yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. Is just, they're like, well, we shot this. How do we market this? Like,
Right.
what can we get people to actually get into it? It's like, well, it's Pinocchio, and then we need a cool word that fits with it.
Revenge.
Yeah, exactly. There's there's no revenge to the movie at all. It's just it's all just bullshit.
Yeah, there's no. Hmm. Unless, actually, the Zoe killed those people because, like, she spends time with David instead of the daughter. And then she spends time with. And then the babysitter becomes a surrogate mother, effectively,
Yeah.
since the mom doesn't. So is it. That's not revenge, though. I don't think that's the right motive.
No, no, it's
But it makes sense who she kills. who Zoe kills.
Yeah, I mean, thematically it works. Like, the people who do die in the movie make sense. It just doesn't. It doesn't fit in with, like, the. Okay, I've got the revenge part. There's only one part of revenge: the bully.
Yeah, but she doesn't
Even
even do it
even
right.
then, yeah, I don't know. There's just so much bullshit that they could have gone with. Like, if the daughter was heavily bullied in school, so she decided to take it out on Oliver. For granted, this is not post Columbine, so that's not gonna happen that easily. But like, still, it could have been something different. Like, it just, I don't know. Pinocchio was a poor attempt at a personification of the daughter's jealousy and rage and mental disorders.
Right. I guess that yeah, that would be another reason why she wants to kill her bully is because she has to share the spotlight of being one of the smartest children in class, so she doesn't get the full attention of anybody anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's even at her dad's place. She's obviously not getting the attention there. Maybe Pinocchio's Vendetta would have been a better name.
Yeah, you got the V too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
Pinocchio's Vendetta would have been good.
it just, I don't know. It's just one of those really, really bad movies. And and I mean, this is in true form. I'm still curious about some of the director's other works because, I mean, it's director and writer. So, full creative control. The main one that I want to see is Endangered Species because I remember that movie poster so much growing up of seeing it everywhere,
Hmm.
like rental stores and whatnot. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. This movie is just.
It was, yeah, it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm like,
uh,
it's bottom 20. I can say confidently, it's bottom 20.
I I don't even know if it's that low for me, sadly.
It just, I've never, it didn't work, and it was hardly entertaining.
No, yeah, that's the exact thing. Is like, if it
And I've
at
never
least,
watched a movie this long that had all those things working against it.
yeah, no, I mean, there's just so much that it had little snippets of potentially being good, just like
Hmm.
those little kernels. Like we've talked about, like, oh, if they had changed this, if they had changed that, like, could have made a more interesting movie. Wouldn't have been a good movie, but it would have been at least a little more interesting than this bullshit made for TV movie that this should have been.
There's three movies happening here. There is Jennifer the lawyer defending Geppetto effectively from uh from uh from going to prison.
Mm-hmm.
There is the family drama of a mother, a boyfriend, um, a daughter that she doesn't spend enough time with, and then a doll that causes problems and comes between them. And then there is the slasher movie that the slasher movie, and it's none of those movies. And the way to fix it would be to focus on something, expand upon that idea, and have a movie that structurally makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like we mentioned, there's just so much random bullshit. Like when the mom sleeps with the boyfriend, okay, whatever. And then you go like 30 minutes, and then you have the babysitter in full frontal nudity. It's like, and like, for those who missed the viewing, like we're talking full buck naked, not even like some or like some clouding over anything. It is
You
everything on display.
you see everything.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just it. I don't know. There and that I think you're hitting on the right thing. Is like this movie kind of has a structure, but not really, because like
Yeah.
even I know, and I'm gonna tie back to a very old style of writing. There's a couple there's like mainly in movies. There's you have the three acts. I don't even know where
Hmm.
the first, second, and third act really begin. I can maybe guess where the third act begins. It's when she goes to kill the uh,
Hmm.
or
The
go
first two acts blend together.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing is that the movie doesn't, well, while the mom is supposed to be the central character, she kind of doesn't really do a good job in that at all. Same with the daughter. None of them have a story arc. They're just existing while stuff happens.
Once we saw those eyes move at 42 minutes, that should have been doll fuckery until the final confrontation at the
Exactly.
end.
Exactly.
But
I mean,
we wasted like 30 minutes later. I I think it just got off to the wrong start with like the misdirection of the Gato in the beginning, supposedly us believing that he's innocent.
yeah. And I think that's also the poor aspect of this movie is that the misdirection doesn't hold. Like very early on, you're calling bullshit on Pinocchio even doing anything. Like, and it's very much in the same vein as like how Chucky does it too. Is like Chucky is still probably like the at least the first one is still probably like the best example of an evil doll movie, mainly because it's probably the most well known. But also, you have this misdirection of you're clearly seeing Chucky talking to the kid,
Hmm.
and but at the same time you're never seeing Chucky move around the adults. But that's
Right.
happening from very very early on in the movie. And also we're given the lore from the very get-go of like okay,
We.
somehow this dude transferred his soul into this doll.
Mm-hmm.
All right then. We see absolutely none of that. From the very get-go, Pinocchio is a static doll until you said 42 minutes into the movie we finally see his eyes move.
Right.
Uh,
But nobody else sees his eyes move.
no.
So it's like, what's going on? Like, it makes you not trust, but not in a good way. Like, there's a such thing as like famously Catcher in the Rye, the unreliable narrator, or
To make an
what's that?
older reference, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, or yeah, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Most the earliest film reference of a non-reliable narrator.
Sure, right, yeah. There's the Shutter Island, where
Mm-hmm.
like but that's just. This is
More,
just something that the director wanted us to see, and he was just seemingly unable to make it into the movie.
yeah,
And because if nobody's witnessing it, that's just between us and the director.
yeah,
That's
and
something that he wants to show the audience. It's not something that he's making
mm-hmm.
in the reality of the movie.
And more recently, the Joker. And I think you hit on a very good point with that too. Is that with the well, all of those movies deal with a certain level of mental illness that it's never revealed in the mom until the very end, and even then, is she? I mean, granted, we know she's not mentally all there, but still,
Mm-hmm.
she never has that moment that her daughter has of like her mental health issues. And in the end, she's just like, "Oh, my daughter's fine. I'll get her out of here. I'll make sure you lose." That's the thing. She is very Sue happy with the other ones of like, "I'll do everything in my power to make sure you lose your license and stuff." And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
honey, I don't think you're even fit to be a lawyer at this point.
And because if we did not have that jump cut at the end of the movie, the police would show up and they'd be like, "Oh, look, there's a murder."
Yep.
And oh, how did your daughter stab through this door?
Yeah.
Or no, this is clearly your daughter. How did you throw her across the door? If there was any type of interference with any third party
Mm-hmm.
that and any person in a position of authority, they would be able to just debunk it, and then or they'd be able to conclusively say, "Oh, hey," or she would also be equally crazy because she would be talking to the police officer, and they would be like, "Oh, it was the doll did it. Don't worry, you don't need to arrest my daughter." And then they'd be like, "Oh, well, cool, you can come with us too," and they'd be in the cell together.
Well, and
You know?
two other movies with a very similar type of kind of twist ending, and yes, I'm going to spoil one of them. Um, so we've got uh, uh, Friday the 13th, very classic one. If you haven't seen, if you're spoiled by that, I'm sorry. That big twist ending, and then also Camp Sleepaway. Like Those are all. Those both have like that twist ending that this movie tries for. It really
Hmm.
tries for, and it just its execution is so bad.
Hmm.
Yeah, it just I don't know. There yeah. There's just it had the potential. It had the inklings of something. Or yes, thank you, Krim. Sleepaway Camp. Uh, yeah, it had the inklings of being something at least entertaining and fun. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna keep this crappy story or this crappy three stories or like a somewhat interesting, I think I would like to see a fully fleshed out legal drama of
Mm-hmm.
Geppetto murdering several people. I think there's a cool story in there. It would be really cool to see it.
Yeah, I mean, hell, if they took the route of like, say, the Cabinet of Doctor Caligari, where Geppetto blames it on the puppet, and then while Geppetto's on trial, the murders still keep happening, and so it's a cop drama
Hmm.
of trying to figure out how did the murders keep happening when Geppetto's in prison, but they do none
Hmm.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It. Yeah. The. It's a bummer.
yeah.
It's a bummer. It's a bad movie. It's a very bad movie.
So laugh. I guess at the end of it, would you recommend this movie?
No. No. This is. There's a reason you never heard of it, and there's not even anything that's a spectacle to behold that
No.
like it's so bad that you need to see it.
And I think even like we stumbled upon it because we were looking specifically for Pinocchio horror films. And
Right.
this was like one of the only like two that we could find,
Yeah, we should
if
have watched
that.
Pinocchio 3000.
That's gonna be a nightmare in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I had told Chris that we were gonna do this, and she's like, "Oh, I really want to see this now." And then I watched it, and I told her everything about it, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to watch that now." It's like, I told you. So,
You need to up the body count
oh
big
yeah,
time.
I mean, hell, I wouldn't be opposed to making a sequel and then completely retconning the first one, and it turns out it really is Pinocchio doing all this whole time.
Please, please have Pinocchio murder people.
uh,
What's that one movie Jennifer
Jennifer's body.
Greer?
Oh,
No, Jennifer Greer was in a movie where that's her name, right? The mom
oh,
uh the Halloween movie, right? Halloween
oh!
ends,
I've only
not
seen the.
ends, kills.
I haven't seen any of the new ones. I've only seen the OG three and the Rob Zombie ones.
Judy Greer. So Judy Greer was in a movie where she got a therapy dog,
Mm.
and then the therapy dog murdered everyone that bothered her in her life. And
That's
th-
basically this movie, but with a dog.
yeah, and that's what I wanted. We need way more people to die.
What is
We
this
need it
movie?
so.
I need to add that to my list.
It's very good. Or yeah, Judy Greer. I think she's really enjoyable. The um. uh, Let me see. I'm looking for it now. Oh, she was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She's doing a lot of stuff. It looks like.
Yeah, she's a super accomplished. I could just look up Judy Greer dog movie.
Oh, yeah, that might be easier.
Good boy.
Good boy. Okay. Definitely adding that to the list of Oh, it's free on Prime as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's a good movie.
Or maybe I might have clicked the wrong movie. There's a. It looks like the dog's an alien. And
Uh,
Matthew Broderick's in that one.
Matthew Broderick's in that.
Well, it's I think it's a different one. Horror. Yeah, completely different movie.
I was gonna
Completely
say,
different movie.
Matthew Broderick's never been a draw for me, because I figured out in 1987 Matthew Broderick, when driving in Northern Ireland, crossed the wrong lane and
Mm.
killed a mother and daughter instantly,
Yep.
and he got off for all of that, and uh, never got sentenced. And then he said that he was gonna go and apologize to him like in 2003. And the brother forgave Matthew Broderick,
Mm.
and he Matthew Broderick never went to visit him and call anything. And then in 2012, Broderick was featured in a Honda commercial, and then Doherty said, "I don't think that he would be the best choice of a driver for a car commercial."
Oh, it's beautiful. Uh, well, I think that's the end of Pinocchio's Revenge. I mean, there's not much else we can go over on it. It's
No,
maybe.
don't try.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe at some point we'll do a follow up with Pinocchio 3000.
I, yeah, I don't even know if I want to watch the movie coming out this week.
Oh, the Del Toro one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think I like Pinocchio anymore.
This is one I have. Surprisingly, I haven't fully seen the trailer, but I've seen parts of a trailer for it, and it was mainly like Del Toro interviewing.
Hmm.
I would be more open to watching that than rewatching Pinocchio's Revenge for a third time.
I've never seen a. Not that I go out of my way to watch a lot of Pinocchio content,
Mm.
but I don't think I've ever seen a good Pinocchio movie.
Well, I'm curious about Del Toro's because it's going to be 3D animated, or not 3D animated, it's stop motion. And he was talking about how he always felt the story needed to be handcrafted. So
Hmm.
he tried to make it feel as like handmade as possible. So I think at least visually it's going to be interesting to say the least.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah.
Del Toro is. That's one of the things that this movie didn't do. That even when Del Toro works on a movie, there is an aspect of the movie that you can enjoy, even if the movie itself isn't generally entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm going to be very far away from watching it myself as well. So,
Hmm.
I don't know what I'll get to it, but yeah. Uh, anyway, everyone, thank you all for joining us today. Next time I'll keep you guys more in the know of when we do a screening, and we'll we'll let you know. It. Don't watch this movie. This movie's gonna rot in my movie vault for a very very long time until I get drunk or make someone else watch it out of pure spite.
That's a waste of alcohol. I don't
Uh,
drink, and that is a waste of alcohol. To get drunk and watch Pinocchio's Revenge.
I'd already have to be drinking for hours at that point to even try and want to watch it again. Not drink and watch it. Get so drunk I make other people suffer through it.
Yeah, hey, well, fucking watch Pinocchio's Revenge with me. Come on, fucking watch it. Just watch like Terminator or something awesome. Like watch like that'd be good. Okay, what would you suggest if for some reason somebody's out there, they're just like in the year 2022 is like, let me run to the internet and see if I should watch Pinocchio's Revenge. And what would you suggest for them to watch in place of it?
Oh God. Something along the same theme, or just a better horror film in general.
Well, I think you probably you're hitting you're getting to it earlier with the Babadook. If you wanted to, because who knows what the fuck this movie's about, but I think the Babadook's probably the closest.
The Babadook would be good. The other one I would say that was more visually and thematically interesting was called Caveat. It's this Irish movie that was. I watched it last year for 31 Days of Halloween, and That one is very interesting, and actually, it's got a creepy little doll. The creepy doll looks like a deformed manged rabbit.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So what's all right? So I guess like a thematically, you would suggest Babadook, and for dolls, if somebody's just like, man, I want to watch a doll movie, you would suggest Caveat.
I would say Caveat. Caveat was surprisingly interesting, and I want more of it because there's stuff to it that I won't drop too heavily. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do recommend Caveat if you get a chance.
Okay.
Yeah. And what about you, Lav? Do you have a movie that you would recommend watching instead of this?
Jeez. Thematically, if they consider this to be you gave this 1 star. You know, half star is an option. Sorry, I just brought up Letterbox. That's why you gave it 1 star. I was just like, where'd that other half of the star for it come from? Because I knew like you have to put something.
I
I mean,
think
each their own. But
I
my
think
God,
I think I gave it the extra half star because the babysitter is very nice eye candy. I will say
that's actually fair.
that.
Um, so if we're going to look at like stop motion, or like some type of dolls or something, I'd say maybe Wes Anderson's The Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh yeah.
And if we're talking about something, a movie about grieving and loss, I'm trying to think of something good. Grieving and loss. Geez. That's also horror. I mean not horror, but American Beauty. Trauma. The Perks of Being a Wallflower was enjoyable. The Wrestler. I'm just looking up these themes.
I still haven't seen
Uh,
The Wrestler.
Wrestler's good if you're Darren Aronofsky, if you're ever feeling like being
Depressed as all
depressed.
hell for a weekend.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to ruin your day, What Dreams May Come is fun. It's not a very good movie, but I think it's really imaginative, which this
I
movie lacked all of it.
I want to do a deep dive on What Dreams May Come at some point, just because there's so much. There's a lot of symbolism towards the end, and just the whole movie I thought was well done. So
That's good. Yeah. Um, Mystic River, The Fundamentals of Caring was even decent, especially if you want to talk about eye candy. You got Paul Rudd.
oh yeah.
Yeah, anything, anything. Joker with an unreliable narrator. Anything. You can do anything. Call your
Yeah.
mother. Do it. Don't watch this movie.
Do anything but watch this movie. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to actually look hard to find movies. Actually, no, not that hard. I watch a lot of bad stuff, so yeah, there's a lot worse than this. Most of the Hercules movies I watched, but those at least were entertaining for the most part. So, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anywho, laugh, plug your stuff, man.
Cool. Yeah. My name's Laughenstein. I stream on Twitch 4 nights a week, and I'm also on YouTube. I do indie horror reviews, and I play horror games. So check me out there.
Cool.
Laughenstein on everything:
Everything.
Twitter,
That
TikTok, YouTube, Twitch,
glad you got it.
Hive.
Oh, I forgot Hive's a thing now.
Yeah. See you later, Elon Musk, you maniac.
But thanks again for hopping on for this one, man. It's always good talking to you about movies, especially like finding like the really bad ones, because I know you mainly watch like good movies compared to like all the garbage I watch.
I try. I try.
uh,
But yeah, thanks for having me.
yeah, no problem, and yeah, we're definitely gonna have you back on again sometime. We'll have to figure that out. It could very easily be Pinocchio 3000. So
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know.
you want to avoid Pinocchio for a while.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Uh, but anyway, this has been the good, the bad, and the weird spotlights. Thank you all for listening, and we are gonna go raid someone. If anyone's got a good podcast stream to follow or to raid, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna kind of look through and see if I see anyone.
looking through. Went to just talking. Is that right? Just chatting?
There's
Oh, talk
one
shows and
that's
podcasts.
yeah. Well, I've never really rated after one of these, and the only live podcast I've watched is Crim.
There is campfire stories. That seems horror adjacent.
All right.
Doc Demand show. That's. I mean, I just looked for. And something random podcast.
Why do I know that name?
I think because Red was going to start or did start a something random podcast, but this seems to be other people.
Ah,
The video game awards predictions by Spawn Camp Co.
I might do a regular streamer. I'll have to try and lurk on some of these people.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I just don't want to raid into someone that's absolutely random, and I don't know what movie they're talking about or anything. So, and most of them just look like they're just talking in video game stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna take Chaos's recommendation. We are gonna go raid the Amazing Panda. They are a friend of the Sugiverse, and I see them on there quite frequently. So,
Cool.
yeah, thank you guys all for hanging out, and we will see you next time. Well, actually, I'll see y'all. Well, you'll hear me Sunday, but so again, thanks for being here, Laugh. Thanks for being here, chat. Peace. Wrong command. Or no, that's I'm an idiot. Shut up. Cool, that went well.
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun.